Donald Trump's unexpected win really came as a surprise to nearly everyone who had been following the national and state election polling, including the president himself, because virtually every poll got it wrong. And now, as Mr. Trump tries to prepare for his first 100 days in office, big questions about how Mr. Trump's supporters will measure his success or lack thereof, and how will the pollsters tell us all about it. Joining us for some analysis is pollster Brent Magid, president of Frank Magid Associates. Brent, always nice to see you. Clear that the pollsters got the quantitative stuff wrong. That's the numbers, exactly how many were going to turn out in Michigan and in Florida and those kinds of things. But it seems like if you dig into the qualitative, the focus groups, so much of what drove Donald Trump's success was his personality and his personality traits.
Well, that's absolutely right. I think that where the polls went wrong is that they were measuring just looking at behavior alone and trying to ask people what they would do, vote one way or another. And polls can really, there can be a lot of error in a poll that does that. There's something called social desirability bias, where people feel that they can't necessarily articulate what they're going to do for fear of being ostracized in their social circle. And we saw quite a bit of that in this particular election. Our data, where we dug much deeper into human emotions and really understanding what was behind people's decision-making, we could clearly see that there were various issues that attached to the president-elect that were very, very compelling to people. Things like his toughness, his charisma, his aggressiveness, all of which were seen as attributes of a leader. Frankly, we saw that the electorate...
How do we translate that, though, from candidate Trump to President Trump? We saw even a couple of days ago, as the protests began, President-elect Trump tweeting about the presidential election. He said, just had a very open and successful presidential election. Now professional protesters incited by media are protesting. Very unfair. That is as raw and as tough of a tweet as you get. And then the next morning he follows it up with this next tweet. Love the fact that small groups of protesters last night have passion for our great country. We will all come together and be proud. Clearly, those are two very different voices he's speaking with. Does he run the risk, if he tries to become too presidential, of losing all those traits you just talked about and thus his support?
No, well, I think that what the president-elect needs to pivot to now is really focus on the business at hand. And there were certainly some indications over the last couple of days in comments that he's made that, for example, he doesn't wish to discuss, the possibility of trying to go after Hillary Clinton for possible injustices in the past, but rather to focus on the business at hand of job growth, of the economy, of making smart decisions. And frankly, I think that's where he needs to go. He needs to get away from a number of the social issues that, frankly, a lot of the electorate, I think, feel that are things that have bogged us down over the last number of years, and people really want to get on to what they elected him for, which is to develop our society.
Well, and also, as you pointed out so often, Brent, elected him because of all of the qualities of his personality that are so different than typical politicians. So many people in focus groups saying all along that even if they didn't necessarily agree with him, they sort of liked his perspective. Brent Magid, Frank Magid Associates president from Minneapolis. Thank you, sir.